And welcome, all of you. Yes. Hey, welcome, all of you guys. It's Sunday. Nah, and it's Monty's live chat. We're going to be with you right now, so come on and join in, get that cup ready. Hope you had lunch, and hope all is going well. We're going to have video in just a few seconds. But just want to give you time to get ready and call mom and dad and all the kids and everybody around it. Come on, let's talk about this stuff that's happening, y'all. We got a lot to cover today, and we are so excited. Hi, guys. Hello, and welcome everyone to my chat, to Monty's chat. And I appreciate so much that I'm so excited that we can have time together today to talk to you. And we are stoked. And for those of you who don't know, I am Monte Cagle, and here today we have, as usual on Sunday, Teresita Cagle, my lovely wife, and we're coming to you from the island of Aruba. And we are both authors, composers, teachers, ministers, I'm a scientist. She's a science, she studies on me. I guess, I don't know. And a husband, I'm a father, teacher, and we're world travelers and also missionaries. And here we are, and we'd like to take this time with you today, right here at Monty's Chat. Hey, first of all, I want to thank all of you for those who've been logging on and watching all our videos and going to our YouTube channel. We want to thank you for the likes. We really do. We really appreciate the likes, honestly. And we like your comments. We appreciate the comments. You can even comment right now today as we broadcast here in the island of Aruba. And we'd like you to share our videos. And of course, we really would like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really do. I mean, it would be a blessing. And when you subscribe, don't forget to hit the bell, ding, so that every new video that we put out, it'll notify you immediately when that video's out, and you'll be ready to hear all the inspiring things and things that we'd like to share. We hope they're inspiring to you. And also, we'd like to remind you, don't forget to stop by and visit my website, montecagle.com, and Cagle Aruba Arts and Culture. And there you can get my book, Racism and the Cure. Hey, there is a cure. And so you can pick up that and all the wonderful things that Teresita has been producing. And I don't think you'll be able to get the bread that she's making. But the people love it, and she's an awesome cook, aren't you? She's just, wow, I'm just excited.
And the face masks.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Beautiful face masks.
She has some beautiful face masks. Yeah, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, well, as you know, it's mandatory in many places and in many shops to wear face masks. And so I'm making beautiful face masks that go toward to your face. Really nice ones, and yeah, you can order them at the site. Which one, Cagle family? Which one?
You can get them at montecagle.com,
montecagle.com.
and you also can get them at Cagle Aruba Arts and Culture.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
a lot of people have been buying face masks because it seems like it's becoming part of your attire, and a lot of people want to have like matching bags or matching shirts, or they want to look hip while they're wearing their face masks. So
Okay.
I think it's nice, and you see beautiful colors all on the street also of face masks.
Cool.
There's different styles, different colors, and anyway, we sell them here, so you can get them if you like, breathable ones, and really nice.
Okay. Well, we're going to continue today, and we want to have a little chat. Man, we got so much Boy, this week has been awesome. And, also, before we get started, I'd like to say thanks a lot for logging on to my chat this week, Common Sense section on spirits and ghosts and all those good things. I hope you liked it. And continue to log on and get some wonderful things at the Monte Cagle YouTube channel and here on Facebook as well. Well, first of all, I just would like to bring out something. It just blew my mind. I am just totally overwhelmed by what's happening worldwide. I'm sure you guys are all experiencing these things, and it's just amazing what's happening with this COVID lockdowns,
Right.
this COVID disease, this virus, and all the draconian, measures to try to keep us safe from this disease. I mean, it is a real thing, and it's nothing to be played with.
Right.
And people are getting the disease, but some of the things that they're doing, it's just like it's more putting their government into place, a one world government into place, than trying to really take care of the public. And it's just really disheartening, to say the least. But at the same time, it's very encouraging for me as a Christian. I am a Christian. I do believe in God, and I read the Bible, and man, this stuff is just awesome. What's going on? And I was reading over 2 Timothy. I'm going to just share this right away before we get really into it, because this sets the precedent for what's going on right now. If you have a Bible, okay, today I will start off with the Bible because I just really want to just get this off my chest, and I'm sure many of you believe the same. And I just like to say a little prayer. Lord, I pray that you bless this time for us together today, that we can all have a nice chat, and that it can be a real blessing for everyone who tunes in and logs on to Monte's Sunday chat. You speak through us and help us to be an encouragement to each other even. And if people have comments, or they can also chime in on the chat and make comments as well. In Jesus' name. Okay, I hope I didn't offend some of you guys by praying. I like to pray. But anyway, the point is, things that this week was just so amazing. And I wanted to share, when I read this chapter, I was looking with my wife, we have like little devotions together. And I was reading this chapter, and it just jumped out at me again. And I just want to read a few passages from this chapter. This is in 2 Timothy chapter 3. And this is today's world. But know this, that in the last days, perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves. Oh my God. Lovers of money. What? Are you kidding me? Lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents. Oh my God. Unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers without self-control, brutal, God, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, oh my God, but denying its power, and from such people turn away. For of this sort are those who creep in delays. That's 1 through 6. And then it goes on, and it says, and always learning. This is what really floored me. Always learning and never coming to the knowledge of the truth. I mean, we know so much today. And with computers and all the research medically and all the science breakthroughs, astrology with astronomy and all the digging up artifacts. What you call it? Paleontology? Oh, not paleontology, but anthropology. Yeah, it's like it's just amazing the discoveries we're making now. And with all that, people have the audacity to talk about evolution. You know what I mean? It's like they just don't get it. People don't get it. And I really hope you guys get it. And I hope you guys understand that it's just really amazing how people, it says, but as James and Jambres resisted Moses, so do these also resist the truth. They're resisting the truth. Men of corrupt minds, disapproved concerning the faith, but they will progress no further, for their folly will be manifest to all, as theirs also was. I mean, it's just totally ridiculous. And the more they discover about there being a creator, the more they want to deny it. Now, some of these guys are starting to realize that there must be some kind of being and there is some kind of order to all of this, and that that somehow there's someone out there controlling everything. But they just refuse to receive the God of the Bible and Jesus Christ and know that it's Him. It's not just some faceless being. He's a creator of the universe who's just like us. So with that said, I just wanted to cover, just show you very clearly that we are living in the last days, and this scriptures that we're hearing about was a rundown of how things would be in the last days.
That's
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you like that Spirit Week, and I just had a pretty big week, and my wife is becoming more political than I am. I'm trying to understand the political situation in America and trying to follow a lot of the things that they're saying and trying to really get a kind of refresher course on the situation that's happening worldwide politically, and especially in America. And today, this week, Friday, we watched the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah.
And it was good. Okay, I really don't care so much about the politics of it, but I really want to understand what people are coming through, what are they going through, what are their policies, what they would like to see happen in the country. So I'm going to follow all the Democrats. I watched every night, the whole thing, and I watched all the speakers. I wanted to get a better understanding of what Kamala, what's her name, Kamala, and what Kamala Harris, because I really hadn't seen very much seen much of her, or got a grip on what she is representing, what she wants to do, and what she does, and what she has done.
Well,
So
we saw something. A pastor was showing a video about her.
oh God,
And it just totally shocked us, because everybody has this idea that it's like, really African American woman with values and with morals and everything like that. But turns out that she was actually the first. Well, it's not immoral or anything like that, but she was the first person in California, the state of California, right?
Mm-hmm.
To marry a same-sex couple.
Same sex, yeah.
And that's not that's something so terrible or so bad, but it's just that they have a different agenda,
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, it's like it seems like completely going to the other side, because they're like pro, of course, same-sex marriage. They are pro-abortion, and they are actually almost like socialists. They have a socialist agenda.
Right.
They actually don't want people to work. They want people to stand in a line with their hand out and just get paid, like those the communist countries and things like that. They actually don't. They're actually the ones that want the country to close down so that everybody gets a check every month or something, or a week or whatever. But that nobody would work. I mean, the idea or the picture of what these people actually want, the future for America, is basically like Venezuela was when it was.
Venezuela.
But
oh my
now
God.
it's really it's stabilized. But when it was in the middle stages of going through, people standing in line 5 o'clock in the morning just to get a bag of flour, or they want everybody to just not work, just to go get some money. You get your food every month or every week.
But what's the goal? I mean, what would be the point of that? I'm just saying, like, okay, great. Everybody's standing in line getting a paycheck. The poor, let's say, basically not the rich. They're gonna, like, Bernie and all these other people and Kamala and you know, all these people, you know, Trump and all these people, they're going to have their money with the average Joe Blow, I guess, like us. You know, like they're not really.
You know, I talked to somebody when I was in Florida at a pool. I went to a pool, and there was this lady there too, and she just came from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she doesn't understand why Americans want to be the way Russia used to be.
Right.
You know, like pure communist or something.
Okay.
But she said she doesn't understand because when she was living there, it was really hard.
Okay.
It wasn't. She came to the States because of democracy.
That's what blows your mind. Everybody's trying to be like Eastern European countries, or you know, and they're breaking their neck to come to America. That's what really blows my mind, because I've lived in these countries. You know, we've lived there. We've lived in. Well, it used to be years ago. We lived in Yugoslavia, which is now today Croatia and Slovenia and all these other little breakoffs from the whole thing, Yugoslavia. And people used to say, you just go to the store, man, and some days you just look and it's like 4 or 5 things on the shelf, and you're like, oh. Right. So we didn't actually live there over a long period of time, but we actually were there when it was a super socialist country, one country. And it would blow our minds. We'd go to the store because, we traveled all up and down, back and forth from southern Europe, and we lived in Greece for a while. And so you always had, and we went overland. We didn't fly there. Mm-hmm. So we were in Yugoslavia quite often, back and forth, and we'd spend a week or so there, here and there. And you're like, that was our first real, let's say, just out of a border of communist socialist country that we lived in, and it just shocked us. Yeah.
And the thing is that she said that there was no freedom.
Okay.
And she said they actually would tell you where to live. Mm-hmm. You had no choice, and you also had no choice what school your kids would go to. So if your kids were in a really bad school, or if you were in a really bad neighborhood, you're stuck. And you had to stay there because you couldn't just go say, well, the school's really bad, I want to change to another school. You had absolutely no freedom. And so she said her son had to grow up in a really bad neighborhood, and also the school was really bad. It was like a government school, and it was like super like big, where all the people were like packed in like cattle.
I mean, we saw those, like a lot of complexes, apartment complexes in some of these places. Even now, we went to what was that place where Jesse was?
Berlin?
No, we didn't go. Well, we passed Berlin, but we went even a few years ago. We went to
Czech Republic.
Yeah, the Czech Republic. We saw some of the apartment blocks, and it was just, they were massive.
Huge. They look like prisons.
They were like 5 mile. Yeah, there you go. It was just, we were shocked. We were like, amazing. What? And so they want to do the same thing.
And the
America,
thing is
right?
that, so she said she doesn't understand. She came to America because of freedom that we can have and everything like that. Well, basically, everybody in America is going to have to go to the Eastern Europe or something because there's or find another place to go to, because it's not going to be any much more. Everything was censored. What you said, what you watch, what you talk about. Everybody was a spy. So you had no friends because you didn't know if they were spy. You couldn't say what you felt. You couldn't say, even your own people in your own house were actually ratting on you if you said something against the government or something like that. It was a really difficult time. So she was so happy in America. She was just there, and she says, I'm just so happy here because you can choose a doctor, you can choose your school, you can choose the apartment where you want to live, and everything like that. And that's what she didn't have over there. Mm-hmm. But for some reason they want to make it like that.
So you sit there and you wonder, like, we've been living under such freedom, and having such freedom of choice, and being able to, in a lot of cases, move out of abstract poverty. Really, I mean, I've never seen a place like everywhere we've gone. It's like people have just, you're in a class system. If you're in, like, let's say India or somewhere like that, you just, like, there you are. Well, you're a burker, or you're from this class. It's almost like, the caste system.
You just have no hope.
Yeah, and in Europe, like in Germany, it's like a lot of cases in, let's say, civilian life, not, let's say, in the military bases that a lot of Americans go to. They're just on the military base, but actually living in the society in Germany, like those old families that have had riches and who have ruled the country since World War II, or for, in the Bavaria, like in Bavaria and places like that, it's been the same family, and you cannot go up in society by working your way up like you can in the States.
Exactly.
So you feel like, why is everybody breaking their neck to be look, who cares? If it's a communist country and you can eat and you have a place to sleep, great. But if you're really trying to live well, it seems like this would be like America, the way it is now, would be the best scenario for you if you're trying to really have wealth.
But one thing, it's good though, if it turns like that, then all the other people from the other countries, all the other people, it would eliminate immigrants because nobody's going to
want to go.
The Americans will turn into immigrants going into their
going
countries.
Somewhere else.
It's going to turn the other way around. So that's actually a good thing because nobody will try to break
Well, look,
their
it's
neck
okay.
to
All
go
the boats are going from Florida will be trying to go back to Cuba.
Exactly, because they're probably better off there.
That are coming there.
So anyway, basically about Kamala. So basically she actually, I don't understand why they did not choose a pure African American from slave background, because she basically is from India mother, and from a Jamaican father.
But I don't. And they say African American. I look at them every time. It's not African American. It's not Black American. I hate African. I hate to say that African American.
If you say that the African Americans, basically they did not go. Their forefathers did not go on a ship or on a boat and lived as slaves and made their way up into how do you call society, and had to fight for freedom and all this kind of stuff. Maybe she grew up as a child, right? She grew up as a child in. I think
she was born in America. Her parents came and she was born there. But actually, it's funny.
But like it doesn't really. You know what? There is a kind of a divide in the States between the African Americans and the island people from
other black people.
Other people. It's
okay,
not the same thing.
Are we violent?
Not that you can have me violent. No, it's a total different thing because they don't relate to each other. Almost.
It's really
and they have their own culture. Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing. The Caribbean, Black Caribbean people in the States are totally different. They're really together. Okay. They have shops. They do things together, but they are not interacting so much with the Black Americans.
Okay.
And Black Americans also are a culture in themselves, right? Because they have their churches, they have their communities, they have their friends, and they all kind of stick together.
It's true.
And the other Caribbean ones, they stick together. Because you have, like in New York and places like that, they have gangs that from the Caribbean, and they have the African American, or then they have the Mexican, then they have the Dominican, then they have the Cuban, then they have the Puerto Rican, but they are not necessarily mixing.
It's really
so how is different. She going to actually represent the African American people in America?
That's what's really, I really don't feel that these people are chosen because of their real representation of the people. They're just chosen by let's say the industrial complex or military complex or whatever people, whatever company or power that wants to control the people.
Do you
And you
think
know
they
that
chose
because
her
it's like
because she
when I
had-
saw her, I was like, I was sitting there. I mean, I've seen her off and on. You know, I saw her in the debates when she was wanted to run for
And
president.
she was criticizing Joe Biden.
That
for being
blew my
racist.
mind. Here she is, like, you're a racist, Joe Biden. The next thing she's
She
like,
says
oh,
you're the
what?
one who the reason that I couldn't go on a bus to the school,
Right.
or that you're the reason for this and you're the reason for that. And now they're best friends.
Well,
and she
that's-
says, well, you see, Joe, no, that was what I call leadership.
That was
I mean,
like
she's
my
just
mother.
basically like totally changing
I was
her.
shocked.
They flip flop around according to what's convenient for them at the
Right.
moment.
Okay.
They have no specific standard, and she completely changed her stance against everything and whatever
Hmm.
people want to hear. That's what she says. Her father even criticized
That's-
that she's saying, I mean, she's still too weak and everything, and gave her father and his family a bad name.
The father actually came on. I don't know if you guys saw that interview. The father came on and said, "Hey, this is not our standard. This is not our moral standard," and they kind of disowned her with the things that she was saying. The father. Well, you know, fathers, they always catch it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I go
Because
through that
while you
myself.
think the kids do something, the parents also.
Mhm.
But believe me, what your kids do don't necessarily represent.
They don't definitely.
the
They don't
parents.
reflect the parents. Like I go through this.
Because I always thought, okay, your kids are gonna do what you do. Or something
Oh
like
God,
that.
did we learn?
But there's, it could go both ways. You can have real rather parents and the kids turn out right, or you can have real good parents and the kids turn out right. It's people's individual
It's
choice,
like
of course.
people have to, like I guess I said, God doesn't have any grandchildren.
Right. They have
It's
to
like
make their own
you have to really decide. And I see that more and more. It's
Right.
like, and a man's supposed shall be the head of his own household. It's like we're learning. We are learning as parents that, especially when it comes to a belief, believing in our God, our Christian beliefs. It's got to be you. Got to believe what you believe, and your kids can believe what they want to believe, because at the end of the day, we each will stand before God to give an account for our lives.
Exactly.
And you can't have an account, a belief, because of what your kids are, or believe in God because of whether your
Right.
kids like it or not. You have
Yes,
to stand up,
exactly.
and I guess it's vice versa. Kids have to make a stand for their belief in God
Right.
or Jesus, and no matter what the parents. Which we're actually getting the opposite of what we got when we stood up for our beliefs in Jesus. And a lot of our friends, they just ostracize you and I don't want to be around you anymore because
But
really real believers.
we
Like you
have
got a
a
lot
friend. We know a friend. When we were in Miami, Florida, and they he actually denied. He just forsook his Christian heritage because his kids got angry with him.
Oh,
He says
yeah.
his kids didn't want to relate or associate with him if he believed in God or if he was a Christian. So he says, you know what? Okay, I don't believe in God anymore. I deny my Christian faith.
Oh my God!
Just so that his kids would like him. And at the end of the day, the kids still didn't care about
They
him.
still don't like you, no matter what. No matter if you.
No, but I think at the end of the day, if you hold your ground and if you have your be faithful to what you believe and not just give in to what people like or not, I think they'll admire you in the end because they say, well, we tried everything to dissuade him from his belief and religion or something like that, and my parents still hold on to their beliefs. I admire them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You gotta really just.
You cannot
stick to
please the devil. No matter
That's
what
true,
you
too.
do. If somebody is yielding to the devil, basically they hate God, they don't love God, they want to be evil and do things that they know are bad
Right.
or not good. You cannot please them. No matter what you do to please them, you stab yourself, they're still not going to be happy with it.
Oh man, it's just
For
like.
some reason, because you
You
cannot
can't-
please the devil.
Well, who was that? Abraham Lincoln said, "You can please most of the people some of the time, and you can please some of the people most of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time.
And that's what they're saying about the Democratic, the Democrats. They say they are trying so hard. They are trying so hard to relate to the young people, so they're acting totally cool
look,
and
guys,
radical.
Look, I'm going to show you something.
They're just trying
now,
so hard.
I'm going to give you this is look. We're going to cover it all today. We're not leaving here until we cover all of this. At least give a kind of a, let's say, a broader view of what people are going through worldwide with this political situation right now in America, because it affects the whole world, and whatever is there. It's affecting all of us. Like, we're really being heavily affected here in the islands of Aruba because of the tourists have stopped coming with this COVID thing, and it's so obvious it's some kind of a political or ploy to disrupt the whole economic structure of the world right now.
Exactly.
It looked like here's an example of, like, a lot of black people in America are waking up to, I don't care. Look, guys, I don't care about Trump. I don't even know if Trump's really in on. It's all, they're being played against each other as like a movie, so we can all get so worked up that we don't realize that the world is falling apart and falling to the Antichrist one world government. It really is happening. I don't understand. I see people. I have friends, even my relatives, are freaking out. Like when I say things. Like, how can you sit there right now? Here we are.
Look,
somebody comes and says, "Are you serious?" Yes, I'm serious. We're sitting in a global. When have any of you heard of a worldwide global shutdown? What is that? I mean, that's something that's engineered. Even in the Spanish flu influenza in the 1918 or somewhere like that, where millions of people died. They didn't shut the whole world down. Exactly. Of course, maybe you could say this and say that, but the whole world shut down. And they knew already, when you really study the documents and you really read and research some of the things that are happening now that they already planned out, like Bill Gates and all these guys. I mean, I have to say it. Okay, I hope they don't take us off. But when you see these guys, I watched documentaries from Bill Gates for many, many years way back, and he was saying those things then. And we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to work out the vaccine. And I never forget the time I saw him talking about a gene for religious beliefs.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's weird.
I was shocked. So here they are now, playing out their scenarios, their plans, right now in this world.
Can you explain that about?
I was like, what the frick? Huh?
Can you explain what that meant?
Okay, look. This document years ago. Here, the guy was showing people in the Pentagon or some high official, Bill Gates, showing these people advertising his research in vaccines. Right. Now this is in let's say 2015, no, 2015, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Here he is explaining, well, we've done research, and well, we've seen the gene, the religious, because they were freaked out about the Arabs, because the Arabs are very, Muslims were very concerned about their religion. They're very boisterous and very firm about their belief in Islam. I lived in Islamic countries, and they don't play. So anyway, here we are, and so he's sitting there explaining to these officials or people who are high up in the military why their research that they discovered a gene in they did scans of brains, like they did brain scans, and you could see a religious person, a fanatic, you say fanatic, and then you see a normal person who didn't necessarily believe in God or whatever, and they didn't. You see this, you see this spot, this light spot on the non-believer, very small, and very big on the believer. So he said, well, that's a genetic disorder.
What?
I was like, oh my, a genetic freaking disorder.
To believe in God.
And so I'm like sitting there. So all these people who get mad or freak out about this, how can you see things like that and not be upset? That they consider, if you believe in God, a genetic disorder. So here he is. He said, so we found through our research that we can make a vaccine that will retard that gene
What?
or cancel out that gene, and they won't be fanatically, or they won't be so religious, or they won't believe in God anymore. And these other guys sitting there, this is not a lie,
insane.
it's not something made up. And you sit there and you watch people who get behind all this stuff. You see, they're crazy. It's so weird. And knowing what the Bible says about the end time, I just read you clearly what a scripture says, in 2 Timothy chapter 3. It's a carbon copy of the way the world is today. Now, here, I'm going to show you a little thing here I saw recently. You see more. I'm trying to understand what's happening with Black America in America. Here's a little video of a guy who was Democrat. He became a Republican. Now, look, I'm not pushing to the Republican agenda any more than a Democrat agenda, because, maybe they're basically the same. But I would venture to say, if we can keep our conservative beliefs more, let's say, outstanding in the country and running the country a little more than becoming communists. Who wants... Here, anyway, let me just show you this guy.
What I want to talk about today is why I left the left. So, if you've seen any of my interviews, you would know that I used to be a Democrat. And a lot of people wonder why. Like, isn't it a big 180 to go from supporting Bernie Sanders to supporting Trump? And the answer is simply no. And the reason why is a lot of people don't understand how it works. I grew up in the black community. I grew up in what's considered to be black culture. I went to public school all of my life. And that's just how I grew up. And the one thing that's consistent in the majority of cases is we grow up being taught we have to be Democrat. It's literally a default setting. There's no not being a Democrat. It's simply a default setting for black people to grow up and be Democrats in the black community and in black culture. And anybody from the black community will tell you that. So it's generational. So when it's generational, the hardest thing to do is break that mental curse. So the question is how to break the mental curse. And how I did it personally is, I used to be a liberal. I used to consider myself super pro-black, Marcus Garvey, all this, Black Panther, blah, blah, blah. Because I was taught. My grandmother was a Black Panther, right? And I was taught I was oppressed. I was taught we were victims. I was taught we didn't get treated the same. I was taught we didn't have all of our rights. So as a Bernie supporter, the reason I supported Bernie, I didn't know nothing about politics. Nothing. The reason I supported Bernie is because he yelled, he sounded good, and he always catered to, he always talked about racism and this and this and this. And as a person who was taught that racism was real, I felt like, oh man, yeah, he knows, I used to argue with my daddy all the time because he was a Hillary supporter. He used to say Bernie was crazy, but in my mind, I'm like, no, he's loud, he's rowdy, this and this. And then I started arguing with people online. I used to argue with Republicans online, right? About, Bernie Sanders. And I always found myself attacking other people, that are Republicans. And if you were black, you were Republican. Where I'm from, all the same names they call me now is what I used to call people. Coon, Uncle Tom, this and that nature. But I started realizing I didn't like doing that. Like, why couldn't I just continue? Why couldn't I stay on topic? So I said, you know what? I'm about to research. My whole purpose of researching was to out-argue Republicans online, right? But as I was researching, I'm like, because first I'm looking up, I'm on Bernie Sanders' website, looking at what he believes in, and off the rip socially, I didn't agree with nothing. Literally not one thing, because I grew up in the church, about this church, and a lot of stuff like that goes on now, we're not with. I never was with that, and I used to argue with the LGBT community online, even while I identified as a Democrat. So I'm looking up what Bernie Sanders is for, and I'm like, yo, I'm not with none of that. I don't agree with any of this. What are we talking about? The only thing I felt like I agreed with at the time was his, pro-black stances, but every single thing socially other than that, I was like, y'all don't agree with this. So I said, well, let me go to the economic side. My parents owned a beer store, and I was helping them run the beer store. So I know what it takes to start a business. I know what it takes to open a business. I know what these things take. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I always wanted to start things from scratch. So that was looking at what he believed, economically, and it's almost like he hated rich people. It's like he was jealous of rich people. He just hated them. And then I'm like, hold on. I don't agree with any of this. I just simply don't agree. This is not how I was raised. This is not my values. So then I started looking up a few of the Republican candidates' platforms, right? I started with Ted Cruz. I'm like, I want more of this because I like guns. You know what I'm saying? I'm confused. So I'm researching. I'm looking. And then I started watching the primaries. And Trump is just so entertaining. You can't take your eyes off of him. And as a person that grew up in a black community and I was a rapper, a popular one in North Carolina.
Okay, so here's this kid. He's a kid to me. I'm just sitting there watching this stuff because I'm trying to really understand really what's happening with the kids too. It's like the adults I know, but same old thing. So I know that we really, a lot of people say, oh, that we don't have much time. I say we don't have much time. Personally, with this whole planet, because I think Jesus Christ is going to return. But I am watching a metamorphosis of the country, America becoming more and more socialist, communist. Now, if you want a communist, great. I mean, it's cool. It's no big deal. Just that you don't kill me. Who knows what's going to happen? But I know that God's in control. But you watch these people. Now here's another young lady I just started researching because I'd like to really get a grip on why is everybody so upset about this Trump thing and why everybody is so upset about what's happening with Kamala. I can't even pronounce her, and why the country seems so it's so confusing what's going on and all the war and all the division and stuff. So a lot of black people are becoming Republicans, and the Black Lives Matter thing like that. When you research it, I'm just totally blown away what they believe and what they do, and how can you stand up for this stuff? Now here's another young lady, and I'm just gonna give you some instances today. I want to cover it all, so if you come and go, it's up to you. But I just like you to be aware of what's going on, because it seems like a lot of people are living with their head in the sand. Like an ostrich, and it's just so obvious some of these things that are going on. Here's another young lady from another African American, a young African American person, and I'm going to show you what she has to say.
Hey, so I really feel compelled today to share my walk-away story. So my whole life I grew up and, I was a Democrat. Like, everyone around me was a Democrat. People were Democrats, I didn't really know anything other than the fact that Democrats were supposed to be the party that helped everyone. It was just this amazing party, and they were the good guys while the Republicans were the bad guys. And I didn't grow up in like a primarily black area. I grew up actually in a primarily white area, and I went to public school all my life, and then I went to a private elite women's college for college. And it's really interesting because I've never really been like a very political person, and I was too young when Obama was up for election both times. The first time I voted was in 2016, and I don't even know if they got my election, because honestly I was at college, so I did a paper ballot, so who even knows really. But I just remember being so incredibly upset when Hillary didn't win in 2016, because I was in my senior year of college, and the whole campus was in tears because we were like, oh my God, Trump, he's this misogynist, this racist, this homophobe, this everything. And I even protested in Boston. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, I was really, that's how far deep I was into this. And before I even went to college, I was nowhere near as radical as when I left college. Like, it was just crazy. Like, after I left college, I just, like, hated men. I hated anyone who disagreed with me, basically. And, you know, I learned to protest in college, and I learned about being a social justice warrior and, like, posting all this stuff on Facebook for the Democrats and all this other stuff, because again, I thought they were the good guys. So fast forward like 3 years. I've been out of college 3 years now, and things really start, you know, I really liked Andrew Yang when I started to really like dig into who he was, and like he had a cool personality, and I was like, oh, like I could totally see this guy being president, I could support him. But then, you know, he dropped out of the race, and then I didn't really like any more people on the Democrat side, so I was kind of like, all right, well, whatever. And I was an economics major in college, so a lot of his economic policies honestly didn't make all that much sense, like the more I really thought about it. So slowly I kind of started to listen to people like Candace Owens and you know, Charlie Kirk and the Rubin Report, but really Candace Owens was my intro. And the more I listened to her and the more I like actually looked into what she was saying and did my research, the more I realized that like the Democrats are literally like, they're all communists and Marxists. And I've always been like a capitalist because I believe in the free market system. I think it's the best way to, like, for world prosperity, like the best system that's been created. And I also saw, like, through my studies that communism, socialism has never worked. And coming from my liberal arts background and seeing like how I was literally indoctrinated into believing that, you know, the Democrats were the best party, and, you know, that socialism isn't that bad, and all this other stuff, it really got me thinking about the fact that I was brainwashed. And it was very liberating for me, because then I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm a free thinker now. Like, I can speak thoughts for myself. And so I came out on my Facebook profile, like, in my community, and I was like, proud to be a Trump supporter, love to all. And I got so much hate from people. Like, it was insane. Like, you would have thought I was saying that I wanted to, like, kill people. But all I said is that I was voting for Trump, and I didn't say anything mean about anyone or anything like that, and I just got so much hate. And honestly, that only further validated the fact that I was brainwashed, because there was such a visceral, emotional reaction from people, and I was like, that's really, like, not right. If someone disagrees with you, you shouldn't be reacting so emotionally and, like, canceling them and doing all this stuff. Like, it didn't really make sense.
So you ask yourself, so as a person out, let's say, okay, I'm not an outsider really. I'm kind of close. I'm concerned about the country. I really am. I'm concerned about my relatives there. I'm concerned about the economy and what's happening. And it's not just all politics. It's a spiritual thing too, because a lot of these people don't believe in God, and they're not promoting Christian or godly values. And it's really true. It's just like the end time. It said in the end time that people are going to attack and try to hurt and persecute and kill Christians. And so I never could, when I was younger, years ago, when I first started reading these things in the Bible, I thought, well, how could a country like America, because this even when I was a kid, how could you start killing Christians? or why would they want to kill Christians?
That's
You know
true,
what I mean?
because it's supposed to be a Christian nation.
Right. So
Christian
now.
country.
So now I just realized everything is just really falling into place.
There's a big
For-
divide now.
It's a big divide, and it's becoming more and more apparent, and it's splitting more and more. And it's not only is it splitting, let's say, secularly, it's splitting religiously. It's even Christians are against other Christians,
Wow.
and they all, at the end of the day, we're all going to get our butt kicked anyway, because the Bible says that they were going to be wanting to, in Revelations, it speaks of how they're going to kill Christians and how the other Christians say, hey, Lord, when are you going to avenge us? And they said, well, wait until your other Christians, your brethren as they were, should be avenged, should be fulfilled. Then we will avenge you. So it's like the country's changing drastically. And the world opinion of Christians is changing drastically, or God believers even, because, the Antichrist, he's going to be against Muslims too.
That's right.
He's going to be against Buddhists. He's going to be against any form of religion.
Exactly, because he wants people to worship him.
He's going to work, and it's what really made me upset. I'm sorry.
And he's going to be none of them.
And he's not going to be none of, like when those guys.
Not Muslim, not Buddhist.
He's going to. It says he's going to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and this week we consider it being 7 years. Anyway, this guy is going to come in peaceably, saying he's for everything, and we just love mankind. Everything. He's embracing all kind of beliefs and religions, and at one point he's going to change gears drastically. They're going to come in, and he's going to come in, and then boom, it's going to be a worldwide tribulation. And a lot of people don't believe they're going to go through the tribulation, but I do believe that we as Christians are going to go through the tribulation. We're not going to magically disappear somewhere and blah 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 secretly. We're going to go through. I believe we're going to go through the tribulation. That's a big issue in itself. But the point is, I'm just shocked at how the country's changing drastically, and everybody is wholeheartedly embracing these Darwinian, Maoist, beliefs. And you're just like, you wonder then, what is going on? So not that I'm so pro-Trump or anything like that. I'm just hope we can survive long enough so that we can live and hide out or whatever as things change drastically. And it's not a joke. So I didn't realize how important this election thing is coming up now, because there are operatives who are against God in both parties.
Wow.
Republican and Democrats, who cares? But the point is that
so the outcome of the election is basically going to be the direction of the country. It's right. Where everything is going to go. Like we watched, and here's one more thing. I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to cover it all today. If you'd like to sit here with us, and we're just going to take it to the max. We're taking it to the max because we want to show you we're living in the end. Exactly. We are living in America's in this with this vote, with this thing that's happening now, is either the make it or break it moment for America. It really is. It's not the same old thing like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Like, this world government thing is really moving fast, and it's going to blow everybody's mind. The fact that we're sitting here every week locked down, about ready to go into another lockdown for some stupid virus that people actually designed. That's what really makes me. I get so mad when I think about it. But I mean, what can you do? It's just. But then again, the Lord's in control. Exactly. And
He's going to take care of us through this, whether take us or take care of us. But it's exciting. But But being part human, I am a human being. I get upset for my family's sake, for my relatives' sake. You know, it's like you feel like, oh God, they're going to be killed or die or suffer because these stupid politicians. You know what I mean? Like, look, here's another example. I want to show you another example of this young lady. I was blown away when I saw her. I'm not promoting the Republican Party, but I'm surprised that how people are waking up to these stupid politicians. Here's another young lady, and I'm trying to show you young people because I'm just an old fogey, whatever. But here's another young lady that I was kind of impressed by her.
Do you care about Black lives? The people that run Baltimore don't. I can prove it. Walk with me. They don't want you to see this. I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This is the reality for Black people every single day. Crumbling infrastructure, abandoned homes, poverty, and crime. Baltimore has been run by the Democrat Party for 53 years. What is the result of their decades of leadership? Baltimore is one of the top 5 most dangerous cities in America. The murder rate in Baltimore is 10 times the U.S. average. The Baltimore poverty rate is over 20%. Homicide, drug, and alcohol deaths are skyrocketing in our city. Do you believe Black Lives Matter? I do. The vast majority of crime in Baltimore is perpetrated against Black people, who make up 60% of the population. So why do we care about our communities? The Democrat Party have betrayed the Black people of Baltimore. If the politicians walked the streets like I do, they would see exactly how their policies and corruption affects us. But they don't want to see it. They don't want you to see this. Go to any Baltimore neighborhood and ask this question. Do you want to defund the police?
No.
No.
Absolutely not. I had 3 sons killed in Baltimore City.
These are actual people from
And I think if we defund the police officers, it's going to be worse than that. So no, I'm opposed to that.
What are you going to defund the police for? Why? How do you defend your city, your community? Families are losing people.
It's not just Baltimore. The worst place for a Black person to live in America is a Democrat-controlled city. It's 2020. Name a blue city where Black people's lives have gotten better. Try. I'll wait. Look at this. How are children supposed to live here and play here? Democrats think Black people are stupid. They think they can control us forever. That we won't demand better and that we'll keep voting for them forever, despite what they've done to our families and our communities. Are they right? I'm Kim Klasick, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about Black lives. All Black lives matter. Our communities matter. Baltimore matters. And Black people don't have to vote Democrat.
Finally, okay.
So I was just like, what the frick? You know what I mean? Like, what is happening in the country? Like, what are we doing? Where is everybody going? It's like I never knew it was like that. I can't imagine it was like that. I can't imagine it was like that. And the thing is, what really upsets me is that I'm not upset. When you get into that mode, you start thinking about that. People are just totally throwing away their belief. I mean, Christians, God believers, are just throwing away their belief in God. They're just throwing, like, their common sense, and just throwing it out, just taking it out of their head. They're opening their head and letting their brains drop out.
I think they think God has nothing to do with it, maybe.
I don't know. They can't differentiate between that reality, spirit world, and God. Okay, the spirit world. God is in the spirit world. But I'm saying it's just very disheartening to see the country fall apart. It isn't getting any better, and it isn't improving. It did. I mean, there was a stability over the last 3 years until this coronavirus hit. So you wonder, like, why are people so blind to these things? You know? So, anyway, now the thing that really, really upsets me too is, like, these guys, how can they reverse? They got everybody in America and the world walking around thinking that they're having peaceful protests. They're actually calling protests, tearing up stores and homes and villages and communities, burning consistently. Why is it every single time Black people get mad, they go and burn their own communities? I saw this in the 60s as a kid. They go to their own communities and burn them up.
Maybe because Black people will let them.
They'll let them, like, they go to the other, the white people communities, they'll get their butt kicked. But even in
also the Black people live closer to the cities than the white people.
Of course. But why would you take your frustration out on a city? I mean, like, okay, now they're starting to go out in suburbia.
The white
Okay.
people that are burning these things.
But this time, before it was Black
this
people.
time?
Before it was Black people. Now with this Black Lives Matter thing, The thing is, that's what I feel so bad about. You got black people still hollering, oh, white people control us. Oh, systemic racism in America and blah, blah. You got these white liberal kids taking these other black kids and running around the street, controlling them, telling them to do this, do that, and they go and do it. That's what really it's like, what the frick? They're actually telling these kids to do this. And these are all white kids, the majority of them,
I think
out doing this stuff. Well, of course they're getting paid. Okay, moving conspiracy theory. Okay, look, you got George Soros and all these big money boys giving these people, like I saw one point where they said, look, if you go out and riot in the street, we're going to give you $400 or $500. What if you're a poor ass person and somebody's going to give you $400? You're not like really heavy into the community. You're not like, like a city father or kids that are respecting the community, just street kids. If somebody's handing you $400, of course you're going to go out and break the window out. And they know that they're going to get out of jail. But the thing is, they burn their own communities, and that's the thing, because it would take years for anybody to ever come back there. When I mean, living in my street in my town in Dillon, there was we had a place called Hampton Street. Now, this street was full. At one time, when I was a boy, it was full of black people. Full. Every Saturday, every Sunday, the barbershops were there. A lot of stores were there. The fish market was there. And people lived there. And we lived right behind it. We lived on the front side, on Main Street. But here we are. I watched that place go from a bustling community. And now, I don't know, I think there's maybe one barbershop there left. And it's empty.
But
the main thing burned down.
that street, was it basically white and black people used to
No,
walk
it's
on the
basically a
street?
black side of town. But
the white people also had their main street with shops?
well, okay, that street was a black street full of black people, but in front of it, which was Main Street, where my house was, was the main street of the town. So then you had all the other communities and other white people's stores and stuff there, right?
So
but we were on both sides. We were on the back,
on
the front side, and then we were at the back of our house was on the back side. So it was really funny.
Did they have, besides barber shops, did they have also shops? I know they had liquor stores and barber shops.
They had other stores. They had barber shops. They had
Shops
They had restaurants, and they had a few clothes shops that were there, and they were on the Hampton Street side. And black people owned the businesses and stores on that street. But it took a turn for the worse around about the 90s or something like that. But the point is, like, you watch the whole thing. And what really makes me upset, and I wish that, and I'm praying that many Americans, black Americans and Americans, can wake up to this Black Lives Matter thing.
Exactly.
It's just a front for Marxism. What is that? I mean, like, and the thing is, these white people who are leading these people around with their Marxist ideals and ideas, at the end of the day, black people's lives are not going to be any better. Like I said, you lived in a white country. You live in Croatia or Serbia. We live in, you lived in these places, and you see these solid white countries live in poverty. And you're like, what? And so here we are back over here now trying to bring the same thing there through these white college professors brainwashing our kids. Now here's another, I'd like to show you another instance of a very, very interesting professor of life, of political life, and of society in America. Really nice, very well informed, written several books on life in America, professor. And she's from South Carolina as well. And I'm very encouraged by what she said. And she's very clearly explains the agenda of Black Lives Matter.
Itself is using black people to advance a Marxist agenda, and the corporations, the schools, the churches, the people that have gotten behind Black Lives Matter, the organization, they think they're helping black people. They think they're showing support for black people, but actually it's the opposite. Hi, I'm Carol Swain, former professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University. Before that, I was a tenured professor at Princeton University. I am a conservative. I have a podcast, I write articles and books. I am educating the world. The world is my classroom. Welcome to my classroom.
I want to thank you so much for being here.
My
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. And in your intro, you talked about how you are a conservative. And people will look at you and say, a black conservative? I didn't know those people existed. How did you get to the point of where you're at now?
Well, I was born and raised in the country, a rural Virginia, southerner. And so with that comes common sense. Now, common sense is in short supply these days. So I had common sense. And so even when I was a Democrat and I was not a conservative, I was not necessarily seeing the world as everyone else did. And so I can always say that my perspective on the world was different. I think that helped explain that I did have success in academia during the years that I was a Democrat. But after I had a Christian conversion experience and I became more conservative, then the world changed for me.
It's kind of the common sense values. I totally agree with that because I went through college and I thought I was a liberal or more of a leftist type of person. But then I realized that the common sense values that I had actually lined up with conservatism. And I found that a lot of people actually had those same kind of values. But right now in America, especially at the universities and with all these young people rioting and marching in the streets, we're seeing really, like you said, a huge lack of common sense. What do you think is the biggest problem facing these communities right now?
One of the biggest problems is that young people who have been educated at our colleges, universities, middle schools, that they're not being taught critical thinking skills, and that it's so much indoctrination. And so they're out there, bless their hearts, they're trying to change the world. They don't even understand the world, and so they're out there trying to fix things, but they're clueless in a lot of ways.
Yeah, one of the things that we're seeing right now is the amount of protesting going on for George Floyd's death and Black Lives Matter really bolstering itself up. Do you think that Black Lives Matter is doing a lot of good for young African Americans in our country right now?
Okay, in 2016, I gave a CNN interview. I was debating an attorney in LA named Ariva Martin, and at that time, the 5 police officers in Dallas had been slain. And I pointed out, because I'd gone to the Black Lives Matter website, that they were Marxists. It looked like, that the planks came from the Communist Manifesto. They were talking about overthrowing the state. And at that time, I said that Black Lives Matter was a destructive force in our society, and it was a problem. And I caught a lot of grief for saying that. Now the founders of Black Lives Matter, they've come out. They've come out as Marxists. And what I see is people not being able to discern between the statement, Black Lives Matter, in the same way that all lives matter. They can't distinguish between the slogan that's a truth statement and the organization that's Marxist. And I believe that the organization itself is using black people to advance a Marxist agenda, and the corporations, the schools, the churches, the people that have gotten behind Black Lives Matter, the organization, they think they're helping black people. They think they're showing support for black people, but actually it's the opposite.
Why do you think that so many people support an organization like Black Lives Matter when, very clearly, you can go to their website, you can see their views, their ideals. They said they want to have literally no police anymore in America. Why do you think there's so many people so attracted to those kind of values?
They're not attracted to it necessarily. Now, some of the people that support Black Lives Matter, they're supporting it because they think if they put a poster in their window, their windows will not be broken out. So they're sort of paying what they think is protection money. That never works. I think anyone who really understands the organization, how could they support it? I believe that white people are cowardly, especially at this moment in history, and they feel like they want to show that they support black people. We don't hate anybody. I'm not racist. I can prove it. I'll give money to Black Lives Matter.
We were doing a video today in Venice Beach, about this police brutality and defunding the police. And we talked to a couple of black students, and we were like trying to work together with them, and they're like, oh, I don't think you're racist, I don't think they're racist. Then we went and talked to this white woman, and she comes up and starts talking to us, and then she says that as white people we are racist. And I said, well, we just talked to some black kids, and they didn't think I was racist, but you as a white person are coming and telling me I'm racist. Do you see a big disconnect with what white people are doing in this country versus what black people are actually getting offended by or thinking?
It would be comical if it wasn't sad. And what I see is that the critical race theorists, and critical theory is a part of Marxism, and critical race theory argues that racism is permanent. You never get rid of it. That whiteness is property. So every white person, the poorest person in Appalachia, they have this valuable property. You tell that to J.D. Wallace's relatives. You tell that to people that grew up in Appalachia, that they had this valuable property. And I think that the white arguments about white privilege and white people, they have to divest themselves of their whiteness. And so the lady that you encountered was some, quote, white person trying to be woke. She thinks that by saying that to you, that she has divested herself of her whiteness, which she doesn't realize that the way things are going with race and the way the attacks are taking place, a lot of black on white attacks, it seems to me that there are fewer white on black attacks, but that may change. She thinks that will buy her protection. It will not buy her protection. But
okay, so there you go. It's like you just sit there and you just go and you see these people talking and saying these things, and it's just a sad, it was a sad awakening for me, for the country, being an American, being a black American. I hate saying African American. I don't have anything down on Africa. I love Africa. It's awesome. But we are Americans just as much as any other white person or Asian person or whatever. So I like to say black American. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, the point was the America is at a state right now that we are either becoming a communist satellite country. I'm sorry, guys. I know it sounds weird, but it's really happening. I mean, it's just not even funny anymore, and it's time that we as Americans take a stand and try to make things better, and also prepare your heart for the end. I'm not hey, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. I don't want to say that. Okay, we still got to live, and life is going to continue, but we are gradually digressing and becoming more and more controlled by this one world government that's taking over. I'm going to say it over and over again. I hope I'm not being offensive to any of you, but I wanted to show you other clips of other people. These are average people, not religious fanatics. Okay, I'm not a religious fanatic. I'm just telling you the truth. And it seems fanaticism to those who don't know the Bible.
What about the African doctor lady?
What African doctor lady?
Oh, did you say there was a doctor?
Oh yeah, there was this week. I can't find it. It takes too long right now. But there was this Nigerian lady. I'm not sure she's from Ghana or Nigeria. I love her, man. She was just really she spoke at that interview that they had in Washington D.C. a few weeks ago, where all these medical doctors, these really deep people who are well documented, they have every kind of diploma you can think of, and they were talking about hydroxychloroquine, the good aspects of it, and why that most of their patients who they prescribe it to survive the coronavirus. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not quoting anything. I don't want you to take me off the air because, he's promoting chloroquine. Look at the facts. That's all I can say. You wait for this vaccine, and it looks like a lot of it going with it is going to be a lot of other baggage that comes with it. A mark, a tattoo, implants, and everything else, and stuff that's, I don't even want to get into it. You research it yourself.
But people just are ready to take whatever they can
They're
get.
ready to take whatever they can get,
and
because
look,
they're going to die.
You're going to take the first lifesaver that comes along.
Right.
And if that helps, then I mean, why not just try it? Why
Well,
are you so against it?
well, the thing
At
is,
least you could try it. It can't kill you. If it
well,
doesn't
the
heal
point,
you, it doesn't kill you.
the point is, along with that will come a mark, and being injected with the mark of the beast.
But I'm saying the other stuff that they
What?
have.
Oh, you mean the hydroxychloroquine?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is that they say, I mean, it's like, does it kill you if it doesn't work?
Who, hydroxychloroquine?
Yeah.
A lot of the people, a lot of these doctors, okay, Fauci and those guys, their thing is that, oh, it's very bad for you. It can make you sick and blah, blah, blah. But this is a drug that's been I took hydroxychloroquine. When I was in Africa, it's basically, what it is, it's basically a drug or a chemical that, that's the basis of it. It used to, years ago when I was there, we used to take it to kill, to stop the symptoms of malaria.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you go to Africa, boom, you're going to get bit by mosquitoes. Like we're getting bit here, down here. But the thing is, malaria isn't prevalent here. But when we were in Ghana, when I was in Senegal, when I was in North Africa, Morocco and those places, when you get bitten by mosquito, you can get malaria. And what it does, when you get malaria, you could die. And so we used to take let's say a hydroxychloroquine derivative of something that's basically that. And we used to get bitten, and we never got malaria. I only got, when I was in Senegal, West Africa, I got malaria once, or something similar, and that's another story in itself. But we took it every day. You took it, you just break a little pill off, and half, not full. Now you can take it; it could kill you too. It can kill you. This chemical, but we took small portions, and we were in good health. I took it a whole year, every day, and I got malaria. I think I got sick one time, one week, and that was just before I left.
Okay.
So I didn't die. Okay, I guess people might say, well, it messed your brain up. Look how you're talking.
Maybe
But anyway, that was like 40 years ago, but I haven't had it since then. But the point is, this doctor said that hydroxychloroquine works well, and 99% of her cases have been healed. Almost 99% when taken early, and things like that. Okay, now that's another subject, but I just want to say, you can see this is a very difficult time, a very touchy time in America's history and the world history, and that we are living in a time that I would say very close to the end. And like, all you think it's going to happen in our time? I believe it's going to happen in our time. There are many prophecies in the Bible that explain exactly what occurrences, what sequence things will happen. But like, far as Jesus come back tomorrow, I don't believe that. But I do believe that there's certain things that says happens.
In the Bible, sure, there's a lot of the things that it says in the Bible. Matthew 24. A lot of those things are coming to pass on an almost daily basis.
It's amazing.
The storms, the pestilences, the droughts, the disease, pandemics, this and this and this, and all of the whole list of things that are just happening right now.
It's
basically, they said, when you see these things happening, that's when Jesus is going to come back.
Right. So get ready, folks. I wouldn't go on top of the roof with a sheet waiting for Jesus to come back for the guys, but like so. Wow. But anyway, we had a beautiful time with you guys today, and I hope you guys gained something from this talk this week, and that you saw some other people who, besides us, who are speaking out and kind of making things known that the way the country's going, it's really sad. But you know what? I wanted to show you the bad side of things so we could tell you the good side of things. When these things happened, Jesus spoke and explained what would happen before his return. And these things are happening now. And it's hard to believe. Every day I get up, I go, God, I can't believe this. And you watch the news. I'm just telling you bringing out a very small portion of the news. When you look at all the things that are happening geopolitically and things physically in the earth, earthquakes, sicknesses, other parts of the world, pestilences, plagues. You look at what's happening in Africa with the locusts and things like that. You're just like, wow. Now, not to be afraid, not to feel bad, but just to be glad and happy that the events that Jesus spoke of are happening nowadays, and we don't have to be afraid. The Bible says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
That's right.
But the more I'm doing this because I'm speaking out. I want to show people what is really going on, what you're standing up for. You might be standing up for something that's really devilish. It's Black Lives Matter, people, and that it's not a joke, and we really need to be aware of these things. And it would be nice if many people would pull their head out of the sand and look at the news, not to just be news mongers, but like
news
just
addicts,
right? Just like not wow. Get up in the morning, click, turn TV, go to that, click, turning off at night. But to really be aware of what's going on around you and not just caught up in this vicious cycle of the way the world is going. That you will persevere in prayer, and that you will look to God and look to Jesus to give you comfort. And if you don't know Jesus, it will be good to know him, to learn more about him and find out what he is all about. And that he does love you. God does love us in all these situations that are happening now, and he is going to see us through, and he's going to keep us all, those who love him, those who are freaked out. And also I've heard of people killing themselves. People leave, you lose your job,
right,
and you got a wife and kids, you don't know how to feed them. You're like, whoa, what am I going to do? Thank God in America they're giving out some kind of stimulus packages to people, and the rest of the world, I guess, and some countries are following suit and are helping their citizens with this tough time they're all going through.
There are a lot of food banks nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of food banks, a lot of things that are happening. But like a lot of places in Africa, they don't have no food bank. India, you just go out in the woods and learn how to eat roots and trees or whatever to survive. But it doesn't mean that God doesn't love us, but he's got to let the world get really bad. He's not letting it get bad. We're making the world bad through these stupid things and these evil, greedy people who are actually trying to kill us all. They are. I mean, it's not a joke. And it's nothing to be to be afraid of. That's what I'm trying to say. I would like to say, unequivocally, that we don't have to be afraid. If you're going to die, you're going to die.
That's right.
What can you say? If you're going to die, you're going to die. But I'd like to encourage you all to keep looking up to Jesus and keep looking up to God and doing what you can do, not just floating around like, oh, God, it's really bad, it's really bad, it's really bad. But, in America, I can just say, if you can, ask your political leaders to really fight for you and stand up for you and do stuff for you that will help your community and help you as a result. Do what you can. But my job right here is just trying to show you that we are living in a very critical time in history, and that we are living in the last days before the return of Jesus Christ. Live the best you can. Try to love God and try to love your neighbor and love your families as much as you can. But be aware and don't be caught unaware of what's going on. Don't kill yourself. You don't have to do it. Ask God to intervene, and just to let you know, there is a way out through prayer, through asking him into your life, asking him to answer your prayers. Pray for food, pray for money, pray for a house, pray for whatever, and God will answer your prayers. That's a whole nother subject in itself. That maybe this week we'll talk about prayer a little more and some of the stories and things that happened to us. I'll be doing that on my Common Sense segment. But I would like to encourage you that Jesus is with you. God loves all of us on the earth, but he has to let us decide, because we are not robots. We've all got to decide whether we want him or whether we want devilish ideas and concepts and way of living that are not of him. And because, at the end of the day, we all going to have to give an account for our lives before him. Every single person that has ever lived, walked, or breathed on this planet is going to have to give an account for their lives. I'm sorry, evolutionist. Ta-da, you're not going to escape in some spaceship going to Mars or live in some, like the sci-fi movies. I love sci-fi, but it's becoming more and more crazy as the day goes by. But the thing is,
stand before God.
You're going to stand before God. They're going to say, oh, rocks fall on us. You can read it in Matthew where the rich and not just rich people, but people who didn't believe and are promoting these devilish ideas are going to look up and they're all going to see Jesus coming in the sky with power and glory from heaven. And they're going to have to give an account. So we'd like to wish you a very, very beautiful Sunday. And if you don't know Jesus, ask him into your life. Receive his Holy Spirit by just a simple prayer is, Jesus, I would like to have you in my life. I would like to know you. I would like to understand what you really are and that you're not just a fairy tale. Come into my life, forgive me for my sins, and give me your gift of eternal life. Something simple as that. I keep saying that because it is simple. Jesus loves you and he really wants to be close to you, but he's not going to force himself on you. Ask him into your life and see what you think. Have a beautiful Sunday, and thanks for stopping by. I'm glad, and I hope that the things we've shared with you were an encouragement to you today. See you later, and don't forget to keep logging on and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook channel. See you later, and thanks for listening. Have a beautiful Sunday, and lots of love from me and...
Teresita.
She's not asleep. Okay, guys, have a nice one, and see you soon.